What's up guys, Houndish here, and today it is time for the Destiny 2 news. Surprise! In this one we got a bunch of updates for the game. Bungie talk about more stat bugs, and there are more stat bugs than there are stats in Destiny right now. We'll talk about that. Otherwise, they confirm some additional unintentional nerfs. We'll also speak about upcoming boosters for the portal, as well as a new event that will kick off in September, paving the way for the Ash and Iron update, and more specifically the activity content that we'll get on the Plaguelands. On top of that, there are a handful of updates from Bungie regarding bugs in the game right now and things to be aware of, so we're going to round it all up in the video. As always, if you guys find this one useful, do us a massive favor and hit subscribe, as we're slowly chipping away at getting 600k. I very much appreciate you all, as always, but now let's get into it. First up, something interesting, but Destiny Rising, which will be launching on August 28th, has now passed 10 million pre-registrations, which is a ridiculous number. That's a lot more than I imagined it would ever be. And of course, it's looking like this game is going to be pretty popular in the Asian markets, which really is the primary market for the title, but it just demonstrates the hunger for a Destiny-style game. And as has been discussed a few times, Destiny Rising is receiving a handful of elements which players have really wanted to see in Destiny 2. There was first the shooting range, although D2 has actually beaten Destiny Rising on that one, just about. There's also Sparrow Racing, a Sparrow dedicated game mode that Destiny Rising will get. You'll have to let me know down below, do you have any interest in Destiny Rising ahead of its launch? There might be some things I could cover, I'm not really sure, I'm not much of a mobile gamer. I suspect that most of us probably aren't, but give me your thoughts about it down below. Otherwise, other bugs in the game. In this last couple of days, Bungie have confirmed that both Titan Bubbles and Warlock's Well of Radiance are tied to character resilience, or now the health stat, but with that stat being removed and changed in 9.0.0, it turns out nothing actually replaced it, so Bubbles and Wells are quite a bit weaker than they should be right now. It's another one that Bungie are going to try and fix. But another new one in the past few days, and according to Engineer 7 once again, it looks like the class ability regen is still using the old tier system and only improves every 10 points, so with it only changing in multiples of 10, if you had 100 class stat, you would notice no difference if it got to 105, but at 1010, you'd finally see a bump in the efficiency of that stat, so that's not how it's supposed to work, and it's another one that Bungie will have to look into fixing very soon. Another one worth talking about, but the ghost mods, which can impact the archetypes of armor drops, have been tested now kind of extensively by Karu, and it turns out it looks like it increases the average from around an 18% chance at a certain stack archetype all the way up to 25-ish% chance. So while they're not super efficient, they're not massively game-changing, it does appear that they do, in fact, actually work, at least to some extent. Good video about that one from Karu, so I'll link it down below. Up next though, worth a quick mention, this week we got the Accelerator Score Multiplier. I was kind of hoping this would be a more significant bump in terms of player power and not requiring more modifiers for activities. It turns out it essentially boosts the score multiplier by around 5%, so as Paul Tassi pointed out, this will offset you using 2 positive modifiers in terms of score, so it isn't absolutely huge, although it does basically allow us to put 2 free buffs on, which are things like the 25% increase in elemental outgoing damage and stuff like that. So it is something, but it just isn't massive, I guess. That's what she said. All right, next. Following the update yesterday, Bungie said we're investigating an issue where Crucible matches are not consistently rewarding tier 5 gear once players have reached 450 power. This was discovered by players after reset, who were instantly kind of depressed. But Bungie had, this is an unintentional side effect of fixing an issue where sometimes loot would not drop at all. So you have a choice, no loot or no tier 5 loot. Bungie will provide additional details when available though. It's good that it isn't intentional, I suppose. And otherwise, Bungie also added that new cheat detections are being rolled out, and once in place, a ban wave will be issued to all players found cheating in PvE and PvP content. So Bungie are implementing more ways to detect cheaters, which is definitely good. And they also outlined additional future updates for PvP rewards. So this will be an update 9.10, I believe that is the September update with Ash and Iron, where they'll be increasing bonus drop frequency when playing Crucible Ops, increasing the amount of score earned on losses, and retuning score thresholds for all grades at reward ranks Copper and Bronze. And that will make earning higher power and gear tier more consistent between powers 10 and 300. Plus they'll increase the highest potential gear tier at reward ranks Copper, Bronze, and Silver, increase power adjusters for PvP, and increased chances for prime engrams. So those are coming to PvP, but they say we'll have more details about PvE reward changes in the future, including those for the Desert Perpetual raid. So a lot of the changes will come alongside Ash and Iron, but Bungie indicated last week there will be additional changes to rewards, which will land between now and when we get to the September update. So I know we all want them sooner rather than later, but the ball is in Bungie's court and we're just going to have to wait and see. Up next though, as we look to the future a little bit, as we've seen with some of the boosters and things that Bungie have put into Portal activities, it looks like there are others that they plan to introduce in the future. These are not confirmed because we're viewing them in the database, but there's one called Portal Jackpot Rewards, where Portal activities can rarely drop an item at one tier higher than your performance allows, which is the same thing that the seasonal engrams or the sort of pity loot drops at the moment actually do. But it's possible this is a separate modifier for specific booster weeks in the future. Otherwise, there is earnable extra engrams, where Portal activities will sometimes have extra earnable engrams. So possibly a small preview there of some of the kind of boosts we might see in the future. Up next though, in recent weeks, we've spoken about an inventory section of Devrim K's items, which is referred to as rally rewards. It hasn't been entirely clear what they're going to be for, but there have also been icons for certain objectives which have been data mined with a kind of EDZ theme, and it's now looking like we've finally started to figure out what this probably is. And with us returning to the Plaguelands in September, we'll be able to participate in a new activity highlighter event, which is referred to as New Territory. Bungie did speak about this element, but this event sets up a brand new activity called Reclaim, a 3-player mission where resources are limited and playing as a team is a requirement for success. But it gives us a slightly better idea of what the event component of that may actually look like. So before we get to the event itself, there'll be this additional element of us having to actually unlock the new territory with the help of Devrim K by the looks of it. I'm not sure if the event will go live alongside Ash and Iron on the 9th of September, or whether it might be a thing that drops the week before or something like that. That bit isn't yet confirmed, but a better idea of how that will kick off. And of course on 9th of September, we'll also get the reveal for Renegades ahead of the content updates that we'll see. So a little less than a month now until that additional important date for the timeline. Otherwise, DMG responded to some feedback about possibly seeing things like D2 Sandbox dev interviews again in the future. You'll have to let me know down below what you think of that. More commentary is always a positive, of course, and as Bungie settle into the new systems that they've introduced and kind of get the initial set of fixes out of the way before really iterating on how these systems work, I certainly think it gives more scope for Bungie to potentially do these things in the future again, so give me your thoughts about that. Otherwise, DMG also said that the team is looking for feedback regarding grenade builds. So they're asking players, what grenade builds do you feel aren't performing as well as they could be? And also whether there are some that are doing well on one class but perhaps lagging behind on others. And generally over on Reddit, they're asking for feedback in relation to this. So if you do have any thoughts about that, and you have an account to post said feedback, I'll link it down below so that you can take the opportunity to have your say. For the moment though guys, that's what we have to round up in this video. So as always, I hope you found it useful, and if you have, a rating really does help me on the channel. Once again, I thoroughly appreciate everyone who's stuck around, following Edge of Fate, and of course, over the years. Thank you as always for all the kind words. When I started making YouTube content for Destiny, it certainly isn't something I thought I would be doing a decade later, so that's pretty dope, and it's thanks to you guys. If you're one of the newer folks to the channel though, around half of all of my viewers currently are not subscribed, so you can help me out on that grind to 600k subs, hit the sub button, and the bell icon down below if you want to be kept up to date. But otherwise, thank you as always for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.